What's up, everybody? Maik Wiedenbach here. Question from the audience. Hey, Mike, what about the books of Gary Taubes and the relationship to sugar, insulin, and obesity? Short answer, bad science. Long answer, listen up. So Gary Taubes is a journalist who essentially wrote the same book 5 times, meaning the case against sugar, good calorie, bad calorie, why we're fat, and so on and so forth. And it's always the same flaw in each book, which I shall get to. So the problem is he's a journalist. He's not a nutritionist. So he doesn't quite understand what he's talking about, but he knows enough to be dangerous. So it's like Malcolm Gladwell. Like, you listen to me like, oh, this sounds really, really good. But if you dive deeper, you see that he doesn't quite get the fundamentals, okay? So his books are fun to read. They're awesome. They're really funny. Like, you learn so much about the history of sugar, the government, lobbying, and so on and so forth. So his first statement is that the food pyramid was created by lobbyists. No kidding. But so basically here's what happened. The grain industry and the milk and egg industry came, and they both had faulty reports. And they said, eat our stuff, you won't get fat. Eat these guys' stuff, you will get fat. And the Senate went with this. Maybe they paid more money. Maybe it made more sense in the Cold War. I don't know. But you could also argue that a lot of the dairy products and meat products are now linked to cardiovascular issues and so on and so forth, right? Also, nowhere in the food pyramid does it say, eat unlimited and get fat, right? Then he says the FDA gave the GRAS level too quickly to sugar, which means generally accepted as reasonably safe. Well, it is reasonably safe unless you consume heaps of it every day, right? Plus, if you pull that label from sugar, but you can still sell cigarettes and alcohol, then there's something wrong, I'm sorry, okay? So then he meanders into the good calorie, bad calorie idea. That makes no sense. So a calorie is the amount of heat that you need to heat a liter or a pint of water by 1 degree Celsius, okay? Where that comes from is meaningless. But in his universe, somehow sugar calories, they multiply in your stomach or wherever, and they become like 5 calories. So he's saying that even if you're in a deficit, if the calories you're eating are from the bad calories like sugar, you can gain weight, which makes no sense. That doesn't work. Okay? So then he was into insulin. Insulin, that's his main, shall we say, he's trying to get that's really his main enemy. Okay? So he says the source of all obesity is insulin levels. So he goes on by saying that if you eat too much sugar, especially fructose, then insulin will store the rest as fat cells. This is true. However, this only works if the liver is full. So glycogen levels are full. Because you look at, let's say, I don't know, endurance athletes, right? Or certain African tribes. They consume 20% of their calories from honey and sugar, and they're very, very lean. Why? They constantly empty out the liver glycogen. So I don't think he really understands insulin. Insulin cannot magically store something that you didn't eat. By the same token, if I go tomorrow and every day I eat 10 sticks of butter, my insulin levels would be perfectly low, right? But I'd be very fat. Now, by the same token, if I ate 500 calories worth of gummy bears, I would lose weight, even with higher insulin. So that is simply not correct. He also claims that nobody but him is looking into hormones when it comes to obesity. And that's not true. People have done this upside down, sideways. It's easy to find. Google Scholar as your friend. But insulin just isn't one of them, okay? Leptin, the satiety hormone, that's a big one. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, that's another big one. Insulin just really doesn't contribute to obesity because even the foods that he listed you should be eating, let's say like beef or chicken, can spike insulin levels, right? But again, as long as you're under eating, it's not going to help. Then he goes out and says obesity is caused by insulin levels and spikes, not by excess calories. And that is just insane. I'm sorry, that is just nuts. So there are so many studies out that have shown that if people eat high fat, low fat, high carb, low carb, as soon as they overeat, they'll gain weight. And that's not particularly hard to find. He just omits those because he doesn't fit his narrative. So then you wonder, well, why does this guy sell so many books? Well, first of all, his books read really well, like a Tom Clancy novel. There's there's the government, there's the FDA, there's the lobbies, and so on and so forth. So that's funny to read. And you learn a lot, the history of sugar. And then also, he gives you absolution. So he says, it's not your fault you're fat, it's the government. They give you all these hormones and this sugar, and that's what made you fat. People are like, whew, it wasn't me, it was them, right? So in conclusion, obesity is caused by excess calories, that's it. Insulin plays zero of a role in terms of making you fat. Leptin and ghrelin do. There are no good calories or bad calories. The US Senate is obviously a body of debatable morals. That's not exactly new, but they also didn't tell you to overeat. So his books are funny to read, good anecdotes, but they're just not science. Michael.